weed eaters, blowers, dudes putting flooring in across the street. There's cars everywhere. It's a typical day in the Monkey neighborhood. So it's Monday. Biketoberfest is this week, and there are some issues, but that's okay because we have a 1980 Shovelhead touring bike to work on. How to do, y'all? I have been on the lam. I don't know what you want to call it. I've been out of pocket for a while because just health has not been good, but it's getting better. So what we're going to do is work on it. We're just going to listen to a guy with an edger for a while. Hang on. Oh, sorry about the noise, but we're just going to have to charge through. So the storm was, last week. Milton came through, and while my neighborhood was not hit directly, we did have some tornadoes. Big ones. We actually had a big-ass tornado go right down the road right next to our house. No damage to the house, but trees and all the landscaping and all that stuff's all tore up. So the crews are here hauling stuff out. So forgive me for all the noise. Anyway, Biketoberfest is this week. The Cackleberry, the campground that me and Tom and Thumper and Bill and Daniel and everybody stays at, the big party campground at Daytona, cannot open. Thumper won't be staying there because his camper fell in half. That's a whole other story. But it's flooded. Like, flooded. As a matter of fact, I'll throw in a little piece of video that Tom took over the weekend. Yeah, so 'tis underwater. That area to the left there is actually where our rig normally sits, and there's like a lake, so that's not going to work. So we've had to change to a different campground. It's a campground that doesn't have stages and bands and stuff. It's literally just a place to put the rig. So there's no gatherings or anything there because it's just not as far as I know, a fun place. It's just a place. So we'll be on Main Street and stuff, and we'll figure out when to hang out. I can tell you right now that I'm going to be at the fairing exchange at Destination Daytona. Plans are, and I'll update everybody if they want to come hang out. Plans are Wednesday afternoon into the evening. With this new change in campground schedules are all funny. There's some post-hurricane stuff we're dealing with, but Paul will be there. He's setting up right now at Destination Daytona, so I know he will be there. It's just a matter of when can I get there, because I'm going up there and I need to probably Uber, believe it or not, to the Destination Daytona to get my Road King. But we have some fun stuff to do. My plan, I still have to figure this out because, again, the new campground, we're not sure, is to bring my Shovelhead with me. 1980 FLT Tour Glide, the very first year of the fixed fairing Harley. So in essence, the very first road glide, right, was the 1980 FLT. I have one. It is a badass bike. It needs some love here and there. We bought it a while back, or actually Advan funded the purchase of it a while back, just so we could look at vintage road glides, since there's so many other bikes that get modified with Advan parts or road glides. And we just kind of wanted to play with it for a while. And since the Pro Monkey seat came out, if you know what that is, it's the freaking greatest seat. I love this thing. So it's a camelback style seat that's been slammed all the way down, pushed all the way back, so that you're far away from the bike and lots of leg room and all that stuff. And you can see, 'tis my design. That is something they've been selling for quite a while. They have it for 14 and later touring bikes, and then basically super late model softails. So like Lowrider S's and stuff. There's one of those for that too, the Pro Monkey seat. So the deal was, they started selling that seat. Alan from Advan says, well, I have to pay you a commission or a licensing fee or something. And I'm like, I don't want anything. I just wanted to make the seat. That's cool. So what we figured out is, because you can't just make a product, put somebody's name on it, and then that's the end of it. Oh, the boss is here. Oh, you're not in focus, though.
That's okay. I look better out of focus.
Say hi.
Hi.
Did you have something you wanted to say?
Nope, I was going to go past you.
Okay, so what we figured out is, Alan says, if we sell enough of those seats, I get to keep Gold Member, PFLT. And I was like, oh, I'm interested now, because I love this bike. So I've never modified it. I haven't done anything to it because it wasn't really mine. Well, it looks like we're getting close to where it's going to be mine, so let's start tinkering around with it. I want to bring this to Daytona. I want to bring it really bad. I want to hang out and take it down on Main Street and just fool around with it a little bit when I'm not riding a Road King. But I'm not sure about this campground space. So I'm going to do these upgrades. We're going to do a video together and play with the bike a little bit today, and but then I'll find out whether or not it needs to stay here. Anywho, what do we have to do? This is, look at so here we have it, 1980 FLT. It is an 80-inch shovelhead, 1340 cc's, 5-speed. I believe they call that the cow pie. Isn't that a weird-ass transmission? It's awesome. It is a rubber mount shovelhead. This bike's really weird in a lot of ways. A 5-speed, B, a rubber mount, C, it's an 80-inch. Well, I guess there's a lot of 80-inchers. And then there's some other strange things like a fixed fairing. Very first time from the factory that Harley-Davidson ever put a fixed fairing on a motorcycle. It's a face only a mother could love, but I've grown to love this bike so much, I can't even tell you. It rides awesome. It's just a really fun bike. So, your old-fashioned wagon wheels, you know, there's a lot of typical 70s style Harley-ness on it, all right? No stereo. The stereo would have been a caddy that mounted up here, big brick-looking thing, and the speakers would have been in it also. At some point, the first owner, I'm the third owner, did something with, I don't know how they did it, because it was like this when I got it, but these speaker caddies, or enclosures, we're going to call it, these are not stock. Somebody cut holes and mounted these. Not the end of the world, because I think I'm going to be able to use them for some sort of Bluetooth thing later, but we're leaving this alone today. My buddy Jeff is going to make a cool panel, and he's going to recover the seat so it's not brown. No, this seat is not original. People keep telling me, oh, it's the original seat. No, it's not, dude. The original seat, I have pictures of them. It's sort of a ribbed, not for her pleasure, black seat. This is not. This is some sort of aftermarket deal. We're going to use the pans, but we're going to recover this, you know, something cool and to match maybe my style on the Pro Monkey seat or something. We have some upgrades here. It has an S&S Super E. These are the stock head pipes, so stock exhaust until you get back to the mufflers. The previous owner put fishtails on it. Now, I have nothing against fishtails. I also have nothing against quiet exhaust. It's fine. It's what is typically healthiest for the bike. What I don't like are quiet fishtails. I can't deal with that. It's got to be either quiet or have fishtails. You know what I mean? So behind under the bags there, you'll see that these mufflers are huge. They're like, you know, giant stock size mufflers, and then just come to a tip and have fishtails on them, but they're incredibly quiet. I don't like that. It does still have, those of you who are FLT nuts, their FLT nuts are out there, this incredibly weird head pipe. This is stock. So the front cylinder exits, goes over the primary, down, and goes back to the muffler. That's actually a stock, weird-ass 1980, I believe 1 year only head pipe. So what we're going to do is a couple little upgrades. A, I have found some new old stock aftermarket mufflers. I cannot remember who makes them. I got them on eBay. That's what that box was. I was just walking around. Got them on eBay. Are they Santees or some? I don't remember who they are, but they're some old 1980 to 1984 is actually the years these are for. FLT accessory slip-on mufflers that are not fishtails, and they're not. I don't believe they're completely a straight pipe, but they're loud. So we're gonna get some sound into this shovelhead, something I absolutely require. We also have a new enrichment knob. I'm not a big fan of the lifted thing that sometimes they stick, and you know. So we're gonna remove that and put on this one. I had a cooler one. I can't remember the name of the dude who makes them, and I feel terrible. Maybe I'll throw it on the screen if I can find it. But I had one that I wanted for this that was a little PBR can. Coolest thing. The middle finger that's on the Beautiful Loser chopper, same guy. It's too tall. The PBR can hits the tank. I can't use it. So, because when he makes those things, he assumes like a Frisco tank or something, and this tank's huge. So I got one that's shorter, so we can just do that. Because we're also going to remove, can you believe this, the teardrop. The reason why we're going to remove the teardrop is this like bright, shiny chrome thing on an otherwise dull, unpolished motor. Now I know the head pipe has got chrome shields on it, but I don't know why. Like that doesn't jive for me, right? So what I got from Lowbrow is a replacement cover meant for this back plate. That's just a polished style, kind of cool looking 70s, 80s era looking correct cover, which looks pretty cool to me. So we're going to take the teardrop off, put this other cover on, and then I also got a nice little upgrade here, which basically on the S&S carbs, the bowl that drops in the bottom. If you don't know how a carburetor actually works, which not that I'm an expert, I'm just going to share what I do know. Your bike's not running off the fuel in the tank, believe it or not. The fuel in the tank is feeding a bowl in the bottom of the carburetor, and that's where the bike's eating. The bike's feeding itself off the bowl, the bottom of the carburetor that's always full of fuel. That bowl is the first access point in your carburetor. So the first thing you're doing is dropping the bowl. If you're changing the main jet, if you're checking the accelerator pump, which is part of the bowl, if you're doing all that sort of stuff, that's what you're doing. Well, those are flathead screws, yeah, that hold that in. And they're back up high, and they're a real pain in the ass to get off. So what this kit does is you replace those 4 screws with elongated ones with a hex. I don't know what size those are. 3/8? Probably 3/8 looking. Hex heads. Not hex heads. It's a bolt head, you know what I'm saying? So you can drop that real easy if you have that size wrench. So we're going to change those screws out for those. We're going to put that air cleaner cover on. We're going to change the enrichment knob to or lever to this little knob here. I'm going to change the mufflers to get some sound out of it. Then we're going to run her, get her nice and warm, and come back, and then I can screw the carburetor and make sure that she is, I wouldn't say tuned, because that implies there's some knowledge in here, and there isn't. So get her nice and warm, bring her back, screw with the settings on the carb, and make sure she's just where she needs to be. When I change these mufflers, we might need to go up in the jet. I don't know. We'll find out rather quickly. She'll tell me when I ride it, and if so, I also have a new jet kit and tool. So one cool thing about S&S carbs, I ended up switching out of an S&S carb in my chopper because they're finicky. The difference between the CV carb and other carbs, an S&S carb only has 2 circuits. So there's fuel pulling on idle, and then when you get into it, it switches to the main jet. That's it. On like a CV carb, which is something that was what Harley ran all the way up to the end of carburetor bikes, they ran CV carbs. They have 3 circuits, so there's idle, middle, and then main. So it's just much easier to get dialed in right, and they're way more forgiving. S&S carbs are not forgiving. If they're not set up right, actually that's why they call S&S spit and sputter, because they're a pain to get right. Once you get them right, they're great. Anyway, that bowl has a bolt in the bottom of it you can remove, and you can go straight up without even removing the bowl with this tool, and you can change the jet. So that is one kind of cool thing about the S&S. All right, so let me take the bags off, take this air cleaner cover off, and then we can look at all the stuff we're going to be tinkering on. So this is a lot of fun. I actually, like I said, have not done anything to Gold Member. That's this bike's name because it's gold. Anyway, I just took the bags off. I probably have taken the bags off before just out of curiosity, but to show you some neat old stuff if you've never had an old bike. So the battery sits in a tray outside the bike, and this just sort of covers it. And this is also a cover for the oil tank. So neat stuff there. And this single giant Phillips screw holds it on. The mufflers have this hanger, right, that attaches to the lower bag support, right? And then up front, there's just a clamp. So on a modern bike, you have a clamp, and then you have these saddles that are permanently attached to the pipes, and then you have a bracket and a rubber isolator, and it's just 2 bolts. This is a little bit more complex and was a source of rattling on this bike. So as I take this apart, I'm gonna look for where that was so I can try and line that out. So basically what I'm gonna do is take these bolts out, the clamp off, and take the whole thing off. Then I have to transfer these rubber bushings into the new mounts that came with the mufflers. There. These are welded to the pipe. These have a bolt, and the reason why this is actually better is you can tighten the bolt and get a good clamp on it, whereas, you know, this can move around a little more. So, yeah. All right, so I've taken apart that's also not my bell, which is a serious problem. I don't know how I never dealt. Look at this. The previous owner's a really nice guy, but wasn't much of a mechanic himself. So we attached the bell to a hanger in the wrong hole, and then zip tied the hanger onto the bike. I'm not real sure where that. There's even the ring. It's fine. This is all fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I hadn't noticed this was on there before. So, but it's important when working on an antique bike. Yes, almost 45 years old is an antique. Blue plate. Use antique tools. Very important. You sucked. I had to put the bolts either directions on both of them because these brackets don't quite line up, and I did not want to drill out the hangers. So, like, this has not been fun, dude. I mean, they're on there now, but good Lord. Now I got to feed the muffler through it, and then with the clamp on, and then put the clamp on, and then tighten her up, and then we'll hear. I sure hope that they're louder, because this was a lot of work. I mean, I like the look a lot better, you know, already, but it just goes with the touring bike better. I hope so. Otherwise, there's a lot of work for nothing. That sucked way more than it should have. All right. So, I mean, the bag will be over, which you can't see that one bolt goes one way, one goes the other. It's on the other side, too. Clamped on, hung. A lot of people ask about this oil bath chain. There it is. So, these leaked on the showroom floor when they were new. Essentially, this is I think it's plastic, or I don't know. Maybe it's metal down here. So I got a clamshell, goes on over the final drive. And then you got this rubber boot down here, all right? And the chain is inside there, all right? And I can feel right now that the rubber boot is like warped and stuff. But essentially, there's oil inside here, and the final drive chain just runs around inside this oil bath. You can convert these to a dry chain. What in the hell? Is this off? No, it's on there. Yeah, this one actually is new old stock. So the guy that worked on it last time with the previous owner had found a new old stock oil bath chain. And it's just, it's sitting on the chain right here. So I don't know how long this is going to last, because it's not sitting rectangular, if you know what I'm saying. It's kind of cattywampus. But here's your oil fill, I believe, right there. So I should probably check that, because this thing leaks constantly. Again, like I say, when these were brand new in the showroom floor, they leaked oil, because this is not exactly perfect. And right here on the underside, there's oil right there. It's like wet. So it just constantly leaks out of this thing. So it's a safety feature. It keeps fresh oil. Look, keeps fresh oil in the chain. So I guess I'll fire this up and run it for a second. Not too long. So what I don't want is a nice hot motor when I'm doing some carb playing. Although when you tune it, it's got to be nice and hot. But that's a whole other topic altogether. So that is an improvement. I just sure hope it makes it louder. Let's see. Simplest thing, just wear me out. Getting older sucks. I know I'm not old. A lot of you out there are older than me. I'm just saying, the progression isn't fun, right? And how do I get grease on my head? Anyway. Try to not use this, I know, but turn the gas on. Good. Squirt, squirt. Old school switches. Same as a modern stock Harley. It was silent. Oh, that's way better. And then under load, it'll have a nice sound. I bet you can hear it when it's going to sound good when it's fighting, you know? Let me let it run for a bit and I'll be back. Well, if you don't apologize right now, no offense, but if you've never owned anything as old as an Evo or a shovel and twins and Milwaukee 8, nothing wrong with that. Thank God you're riding a Harley. But I'm about to ruin your day, because this is what a shovelhead sounds like. And that's stock. So everyone with a cam and a Milwaukee 8, I get it, because I did it to that one and that one, but you're chasing this sound, you know? Yeah, again, like under load, it's going to sound really good. All right, let's kick her off. And then I guess we'll take this air cleaner off and do these little tweaks we have for the car. Here's the new enrichment little knob. This is the old one. Essentially how this guy goes together. Let me put it together like this. Come on, behave. Ow. Pointy bits at the bottom. So this little lip on the top is grabbed by that lever, and when you lift it, it pulls that up. Sort of friction based, and it works, don't get me wrong. It's just that that lever is not exactly very good looking, and I'm trying to eliminate some of the, you know, stock S&S carb appearance. I'd love to put a ham can back on it, but they're really, so hard to find. If you find when they're on obtainium price wise, it's kind of crazy, because it was something everyone threw away years ago. This guy, let me get rid of this. This guy screws in there, and then you just use that knob to lift it up. So way simpler. This is made by Lowbrow. Again, there's a company, not a company, there's a dude that I'll post a link to his Instagram who sells these really cool ones. And I have one where this is a PBR can, a little tiny PBR can. But you can't, and I'm going to make sure, I'm going to find that and make sure, but that can won't clear the tank when you lift it up, and that really sucks. This one will, just barely. The other one doesn't work, but I'll try it to be sure. Bummer. Yeah, this was too tall, wouldn't fit, but that guy did. So no more lever. Got to pop that off with a Phillips. It's surprising to me how much S&S carb stuff is just standard screws. Like, there's the screws to hold the back plate on. So let me pop off that lever. I have a new idle screw, which is, I can't see because it's dark right here. So I got to take that out, count exactly the number of rotations, then put the new one in. This is your air fuel. Turning it outward adds fuel, which we might have to do with these new mufflers, maybe not. And this is the adjustment for your accelerator pump. That feels fine, so let me just do a little doctoring up, and I think my idle screw's in the mailbox, damn it. Okay. So simple, but really an awesome upgrade. So normally you've got two little standard screws that are blurry for some reason. So little standard screws here and here, and then you've got a long one that I can't find. Oh no, it's not long, I'm sorry. Way back here, way up there is this little guy. And that's a real pain in the ass to get out, having to get a screwdriver up there. It's the same level as this, when you're on the side of the road or something. And then you got another one where that guy is. The same story, real pain in the ass to get a screwdriver back there. So what these are 5/16, they're not 3/8, little bolts that go in, and this one's really long, so you can get to it, and same here. It's just way easier to get out on the side of the road, or in my case, a campground or whatever. So that's a really freaking nice upgrade for, I don't know what I paid for them. I bought them from Lowbrow. I don't know. Or whatever they are, they're worth it if you have an S&S carb. So now I just I put the fuel line back on, which is crunchy, so I may have to change that later. But this is the bowl I was talking about. So fuel goes from the tank through this line up through here, and this is actually where the bike's eating from, is inside the bowl. This is the bolt that comes out and gives you a straight whoop up to where the jet is. So all right, jetting seems fine. So I changed the muffler, so now I just got to put the breather hose back on to the motor there, mount the backing plate, and throw on this cool little cover I got. This fabulous little upgrade is that guy right there. So it's normally just a little Phillips screw right there, standard screw right there that you have to have a screwdriver to get into and mess around with, but you replace it with an extended one, and then you get your finger under there and set your idle up or down. So that actually is a huge difference. So now throw the back plate on and the air cleaner, and we'll be good to go. All right, doesn't that look awesome? I hate it when I'm stupid. I forgot the damn nut on the support back there. I got to take the, not the end of the world, I just got to take the cover back off. But I literally just got it on, and now I have to take it back off. Like me, you love double work. All right, we're done for the meantime. We got the air cleaner on, we got the idle screw, we got the lower bolt mounts, we got, what else? We got the mufflers. Don't need to jet it. I mean, she runs, no problems, no spit, no nothing. Yeah, I know. I'm just going to clean her up just a little bit. I mean, I don't like to detail this bike because I kind of like the oldness and dirtiness of it. We're going to go old school. If you don't know this, now you do. Pledge. This old school chopper stuff. Like, you can clean a bike really nicely with lemon pledge for like, what are these, like $2 a can in comparison to the really expensive Harley stuff? Try it. Lemon pledge on your bike. You trust me, it ain't going to hurt nothing. I didn't say go take the ECM apart and spray all the contacts. Don't be stupid. But all the paint, your seat, all that stuff. Like this stuff for like $2 a can. Buy it by the case on Amazon, dude. And when you're finished, your bike is lemony fresh. From something I've always suspected, and that is when working on an old bike, your hands get dirtier. There's just grease and oil everywhere. Not like you didn't know that, so I'd share. So this is as done as I can get. I actually did something else that I didn't video because it wasn't exactly sexy. Not that anything I do is sexy. This backrest pad is a hilarious mount if you see the way it goes on the bike. So it's basically like hardware and bolts and hardware and bolts and hardware and bolts and all the way through it. But in all three mounting locations, it's just a piece of rubber that goes between the bracket and the nuts and the bolts. Like there's no steel in there. It's just rubber. And needless to say, after 40, almost 45 years, the rubber was broken here, had broken, and somebody glued it there, was about to break here. So I took the whole thing apart and basically slathered all 3 rubber mounts in JB Weld and made a new sort of connection. They seem like pretty damn strong, actually. I think it's going to be okay. JB Weld has some flex to it, actually. It's not just, steel hard. So anyway, so that's done, and I remounted that. It doesn't vibrate as much, and it feels pretty good, actually, so we'll see. Cleaned it up just a little bit. We got our new air cleaner. We got new bolts for the bowl you saw. We got a new idle screw. Air mixture screw's fine. New mufflers, all the stuff we did. Also, I discovered the short that was making the lights go out is still there, but I know where it is. It's in that plug that you can't see. That plug right there is the problem. And it seems to only do it when you go full lock. My buddy Jason he gets mad when I say this. I don't admit it, but he really knows vintage bikes really well. He's like, no, I don't say that. It embarrasses me. He does. I don't care if he gets mad. He has all the stuff to make new Delphi connectors and stuff. So he's already said, let's just cut all that out and make a new connector that doesn't stick out so far. It'll be more, flush, and you won't have that problem. But I now know that if I avoid full left lock, it really seems like it doesn't do it unless you just, full on. So, and if you do, not that big a deal. You turn off the lights, fiddle with the plug, turn the lights back on, they come back on. It throws the breaker is what it does. So thankfully this doesn't have, fuses in there that are blowing. It's just a breaker that'll reset. So that's the only problem with this bike. And I will eventually, always listening. So that's it, man. I think she's as ready for Daytona as I can get her. Charging system's good. Battery's good. Full of Earl. It runs really good, actually. So I'm not worried about her stranded to me. It's just little things here and there. I don't know if I'm going to take it still. I know it seems stupid to do all this and then not do it, but with the condition of lands up there and this, that, and the other, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'd love to take it, but I certainly don't want her to go down in a mud pit. That's just not, I do baby this bike because it's 45 years old. It deserves to be loved. It's like, I don't believe in the sort of stuff where you thrash an old bike, an old FXR, you beat its ass, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, man. I did a burnout on it at Smokeout last year, but this bike's pretty special. There aren't many of them around still that are shovel heads. You still see some Evos, but not old as this. First year, Road Glide. And I just don't want to beat it up, so we'll think. I don't know. I have my Road King up there anyway, so we'll figure it out. But there you go. Again, plan is I leave on Wednesday. That's the biggest. What's he doing? He's just hanging out. Giant wasp. He's building a nest on my Ring of Death tapestry. Florida. I'm going to kill him real quick. All right, so leave on Wednesday. In theory, go to see Paul at Fairing Exchange on Wednesday. We'll figure it out and then have a good old time. But hope you're all going to Biketoberfest. If not, I'm sorry that the hurricane did that to you. I hear that Shade Tree, I'm just watching him. I hear that Shade Tree just got power back on. Like Shade Tree Surgeon just now got power and all that stuff. So if you've been expecting to hear from him, there's, he's had some delays, understandably. So that's it. Love you all to death. Take care of each other. We'll talk some there. Love you all to death. Take care of each other out there. We'll talk real soon. See, the brain's not quite there yet.